Okay, hi everyone. My name is Carrie Morgan. I am so excited today. We are going to do some amazing interview right now. Hopefully, there you go. So, I am going to be bringing a ton of leaders from all over the world together to help you heal your mindset, and just really tap into a little bit more self awareness, self love, and self discipline. This is going to help you get into your heart, into your feelings, into your body. It's also going to shift you in 2020 from the things that you're thinking about so that you can grow a little bit more going forward instead of being in fear, right? Nobody wants to live in fear, but our mindset right now is just totally connected to being unsure and not being grounded because we don't know the uncertainties of what's going to happen. But we can still manifest and we can still create from inside in our inner being by really being focused on what we want and shifting our mindset into what we don't want and into what we do want. Right now, I have Ros Isbel. She is from Australia, and I'm super excited. She's going to be talking about human design. So, Rose, can you please just give us a little bit of tips on what you're going to be talking about and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kerry. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for doing these amazing interviews. I'm sure there's going to be some incredible stuff coming up. Um, so human design is, I like to call it a life navigation tool. It's kind of, it falls into the personality assessment area, I suppose. It's a way of finding out all about yourself, who you are, how you are designed to take action. So how you're actually designed to do things, to make decisions. It shows you where you're wise. It shows you where you're sensitive. It it's basically a blueprint of who you are. And once you understand your own human design, it makes it so much easier to move forward. But the really beautiful thing in conjunction with that is that once you understand your human design, you start to understand that everyone else has their own human design as well. And it allows you to be more accepting of other people as well. So yeah, it's made a massive difference in my life. I've been studying and living human design for over 4 years now, and it really is the most incredible thing that brings me certainty that so many other things don't bring me.
That is awesome. Yeah. So, and I definitely know it's always great to learn something new. And that's why I wanted to start doing these interviews, just to expand people's mindset. Because right now, they're not working, they're at home a lot more, and then they have a lot more time on their hands. So instead of dwelling down something that is not going to fill your life, we want to get you excited again. We want to get you excited about being you, about being in your skin, about being happy and satisfied. And human design is a great way to really teach you about yourself. I feel like some people, me included, I had to practically raise myself. So I didn't get a lot of those details on how to be a certain type of a person. I just lived by what I saw and I grew. And I think by sharing these information with people definitely does help them open their eyes to see, oh, wow, this is something else that can help me. We want to think about growth right now. We want to think about strength. We want to think about courage. We want to think about confidence, because that right there is going to get you moving forward and out of this funk that everyone's in right now and get us into our power, right? Because we shouldn't really depend on anybody else but ourselves. So the more you know about learning and teaching yourself to be your best version is going to help you going forward in 2020. So, Rose, what is the one thing that seems to help people shift their paradigm a little bit? But maybe first, before we do that, maybe we should go in a little bit more detail on human design and maybe the 5 characters of human design, if that works for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So before we even get started, everyone can easily grab their own human design chart, and that will tell them what type they are. So if they go to mybodygraph.com, you can just pop your birth time, place, and birth time, date, and place into some software, and you'll get a chart, and that will tell you what type you are. Now, you're going to be one of 5 different types. Every single person on planet Earth is one of these 5 different types. There's the manifester, which is about 9% of the population. There's the generator, which is about 36%. The manifesting generator, which you and I both are, about 32%. The projector, which is about 21% of the population, and the reflector. And the reflectors are very rare. They're only about 1% of the population. So everyone is one of those 5 types. And each of those 5 types are designed to take action in a different way. They have different ways of using their energy, and they have different ways of going about life. And of course, we are all taught to go about life in pretty much the same way. You know, from the time that we leave our mother's body, we're conditioned to be a certain way. And it may, or most likely may not be, in accordance with the way that we're designed. And so, you know, this is the gift that human design brings. It shows you how you are designed to operate, how you are designed to use your energy. Because when it comes to those 5 types, 3 of the types, the manifester, the projector, and the reflector, they actually don't have a lot of physical doing energy. They have other purposes in life. The 2 generator types, the manifesting generator that you and I are, and the pure generator type, between those, they make up almost 70% of the population. And they do have energy. They do have energy to make things, to build things, to get things done, but they have a certain way of going about it. They can't just make something happen. They have to wait for things to show up outside of them and then respond to those depending on how it feels in their body. So we've all got these different ways of taking action. And before I go too much further, I just want to talk about the manifester. The manifester, 9% of the population, they're the only type who are actually designed to just do it, to get an idea, and if it feels right, make it happen. The projectors that I was talking about, the 21% of the population, so 1 in 5 people are a projector, and everyone knows projectors. These people, they don't have a lot of energy, and they have to wait for people to invite them, to work with them, to come into relationship with them, to travel with them, those sorts of things. The big things in life, projectors need to be invited into. And when projectors find that out, oh my gosh, I don't actually have access to a lot of energy, and I need people to recognize and invite me, then all of a sudden, so many things that have happened in their life start to make sense.
So are they like energy vampires a little bit?
Okay, so
energy,
so
but drain a little because
I
they
know what you mean.
hide it so much. That's all I'm saying. Like,
And I want to say no, they're not. Nobody is by design an energy vampire. When you look at your human design chart, so when you go into mybodygraph.com and get your human design chart, you'll see on the chart there's 9 different shapes. And they roughly correlate to the chakras. In fact, they're actually based on the chakras. And what happens is some of those will be coloured in and some of them will be white, unless you happen to be one of the 1% of the population who are reflectors, in which case the whole chart will be white. All of those shapes will be white. And like I said, they roughly correlate to the chakras. And so if a shape is coloured in, it means that the energy that that shape represents. So, for example, we talk about, the third eye, or as we call it in human design, the ajna. That's responsible for thoughts and data processing and concrete thinking. Now, when it's coloured in, That means that you have a very specific and defined and consistent way of thinking and of storing data and of processing data. Now, if it's white, what you're doing in your white centers, and this goes for all of the centers, but we'll use the example again of the ajna, which is responsible for thinking. When it's white, you take in thoughts and ways of storing information and ways of processing that data in all sorts of ways from all around you. So you don't have a consistent way of storing your thoughts. You don't have a consistent way of thinking. And these tend to be the people who can see all sides of the story, who can see all sides of the argument. Whereas the people with the defined ajnas, with the coloured in ajnas, they tend to be the ones who have a very consistent way of thinking. And that goes all the way through your body. So we have, an energy center that's responsible for emotions, and an energy center that's responsible for immunity, and an energy center that's responsible for willpower, and on and on. Yeah, so when you say energy vampires, some people will be vibing low. And I like to say that it doesn't really matter whether you're open or defined. If you're vibing low, then you're going to be affecting people around you. If you're vibing high, yeah, you're also going to be affecting them, but in a different way and arguably in a much better, healthier way.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I just wanted to be clear because I know that people are probably listening and they're like, is that, because that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, does that mean that? But maybe if we talk about once you do the test and you get the results back, and you said there's one that deals with immune, because our energy is so important. Like I teach yoga and I'm a health, person, and I have a lot of things that I like to do for energy because I know how powerful that is, and a lot of people don't understand that. And the chakras really should be lined up for you to just feel good in your skin. But what is that one that deals with immunity that you were talking about? I love
Sure.
about that.
Yeah, it's very topical at the moment, isn't it? That's the spleen center. So physiologically in your body, the spleen is actually, or the spleen energy center is located not where the physiological spleen is, but it's located at the bottom of the right rib. And at the bottom of the left rib is where your emotions live. And they together make up what we know as the solar plexus chakra. But coming back to the spleen energy center is responsible for immunity, it's responsible for instinct and intuition, and it's also responsible for timing. When you have a defined spleen, so when your spleen is colored in, and if you're looking at your human design chart now or when you're watching the replay, look at your human design chart and it's the triangle on the left-hand side of the chart. It's about 2/3 of the way down and it's on the left-hand side of the chart. But on your body, it's on the right because it's kind of like the reverse image, if you like, okay? So imagine you're lying down on the chart, if you like, if you've got your back lying down on the chart. So if you have your spleen center defined, that means that you have a very strong immune system. It means a whole lot of things, by the way, but let's talk about immunity specifically here. You have a very strong immune system. You tend not to easily get sick. Doesn't mean to say you don't get sick, you do. You tend not to feel it. These people tend to be the ones that will be going to work with the temperature of 104 degrees. Okay, they're the ones that they really are sick, but they don't actually feel it. They can keep going, they can keep soldiering on. And what will often happen is they'll keep soldiering on for 2 weeks and then all of a sudden they will just fall in a heap. Like they will be really sick. If they don't recover somewhere along that 2-week period, they tend not to know that there's something wrong with them. So in the old days, before we were in, the situation that we're in at the moment, I would talk about these people being the ones who might sort of get that niggling pain in the finger, and then, oh, it's okay, I've just got a sore finger, it's no problem. And it will keep getting worse and worse over a period of a couple of years. And then a couple of years later, it'll be so bad, their finger will be all crippled over like this, and they'll go to the doctor, and the doctor will say, well, yeah, you've got arthritis. You know, you need to look at the way that you're living your life. You need to look at your lifestyle choices, what you're eating, you know, or what products you're using on yourself, or whatever the case may be. This is what can happen to people with defined spleens, because they are very, very strong. Now, I know a lot of people with defined spleens who are also very much into, you know, nurturing themselves and nourishing themselves and making sure that they are well and they do get the tests done that they need to get done. And this is what I encourage people with defined spleens to do. So that's the defined spleen. So we all know people like that. We all know people who are very tough. You know, they can battle through any kind of illness. And this can be, you know, autoimmune disease or acute illnesses, infectious diseases, whatever it happens to be we're talking about. When you have the open spleen, the white spleen, so it's not coloured in, you tend to have a very sensitive immune system. So you tend to know when there's something wrong with you very early. You'll know you've got that tickle in the throat and a cold is coming, or, you know, you're getting a virus or whatever it happens to be. You'll know, you know, when that when that finger starts hurting, you'll think, well, that's odd. Why is that hurting? And then you'll think, oh, that's right, I ate an orange yesterday, or I had a piece of bread yesterday, you know, a piece of wheat bread or something like that. And so they tend to be very aware of what's going on in the system because they are very sensitive. They are taking in immune energy from those around them. They can actually be quite empathic medically. You know, they can tell when other people aren't well. They'll be the ones that will say to somebody, are you okay? You know, I've sensed that there's something wrong with you, because they're picking up on this energy. So yeah, that's the spleen, and it's responsible for a whole lot of things. But one of the things that it is responsible for is immunity.
That is awesome. No, I really, really love that because I've done the charts and I kind of read it and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then I left it at that because I do a lot. I mean, I've done a lot with energy, but I've never really got deep. But for you to hear how you explain it, it's really good. I love that because it's very detailed. But I didn't realize because I'm just looking at my chart, so I didn't even like go and compare it to another chart to see that the color changes like in between. So
Well,
that's
you can imagine how many different variations of those charts there are. You know, and we haven't even talked about the numbers. There's 64 different numbers in the chart, and you can have up to 26 of those numbers. So there's so much individual variability. Everyone's different.
which is
Unless you were
good.
born in the same hospital on the same day, your chart's going to be, you know,
Oh,
different to the next person's.
yeah, that's very interesting. Like I said, it's very interesting because I feel like this is what's missing. People like knowing they're unique, right?
Mm,
Feeling like, oh wow, this is what's going on. Now I totally understand why I'm like this. Because people just
yeah.
feel like it's something wrong with them, you know, or anything. And maybe it could just be their energy's off or, you know, they're not synced up. So that is really refreshing, especially because, well, I was born on 11/11 and that was my dad's birthday. So I'm very like, sometimes that I've done that test twice and I think it's gave me two different responses. I'm not sure. So I don't know if it depends on how my energy is in that moment or what time.
It depends. To be honest, I have heard there is some variability in some of the software, so it depends on which one you've used. But it might be that, you know, you popped in an AM instead of a PM or something like that, because it is very, very sensitive to the time. You really need to have an accurate time of birth, because it's all to do with where the planets were at the time of your birth. And you can imagine, you know, if you've got a fast moving planet, or the moon, which is also included in the planets, you know, the moon moves pretty quickly. And so if, you know, you put in, you were born 5 minutes after you actually were, and during that 5-minute period the moon moved, it can give you a completely different result. It depends. Some days there's lots of changes in the charts, and some days there's very few changes in the charts.
Okay, that is very interesting. I do.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan. So this is super exciting for me.
And look, I've got to be honest, there's a lot of information out there on human design, especially information, you know, that's maybe a little bit older, that is quite difficult to understand. You know, it's spoken in a kind of almost an archaic language, and it does take a fair amount of deciphering. And there's a lot of us out there now who are trying to break it down, because
Yeah.
we know the value of it and we just want everybody to understand.
Yeah.
Because once you understand how you operate, you start to understand how others operate. And when we understand how we each operate, we're dealing with a whole new ball game.
Yes, so true. So yeah, because you said body graph, right? So I put it in on,
Bodygraph, mybodygraph.com.
yeah, my body graph. So I put the link in on the Facebook right underneath the video in the comments. So if anybody wants to do that, that's awesome. I would recommend it. It's great just to kind of learn something new and, you know, get in there and learn about yourself. It's technically not learning something that's not going to help you. This is going to shift you, you know, terribly. I mean, shift you amazingly in your life right now going forward. And so, Rose, how do you help people heal and shift their paradigm? So like if I've done my chart and I look at it, then do you read my chart? Like, can you go a little bit details about that?
Yeah. So yes, I'm what's called a human design specialist, and what I do is I read people's charts. So let's say I was doing a reading for you, and you've already told me that you're a manifesting generator. I would look at your chart and I would talk you through what it means to be a manifesting generator. It would depend on how much you knew about that. Um, I can also talk you through each of your energy centers and what they mean, depending on whether they're open or defined. And then we can get into some real specifics, because as we just mentioned, there's 64 different archetypical energies that are represented by the lines at I beg your pardon, the gates in the human design chart. And these are based on the Chinese I Ching. I don't know whether you and your listeners are aware of the I Ching, the Book of Changes. This is a very ancient, you know, Chinese wisdom, along with, you know, the Hindu chakra system, which we've already talked about, and astrology and the Judaic Kabbalah. All these ancient wisdoms are represented in the human design chart, as well as quantum science. So it's very much, you know, all wrapped up in a big bow with quantum science, because that's a huge part of human design. But getting back to those 64 energies, you are going to have some of those 64 energies represented in your chart, and each one of them talks about something different. And if you look at your chart, you'll see that on the column where the planets are, at the top, you'll see the sun and the earth, or the glyphs for the sun and the earth. I hope you can understand my accent, because I
Oh,
say
I could
things like,
definitely
cool.
understand.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I know I was talking quickly earlier, but I've tried to slow it down a bit.
No, you're
So,
great.
so the sun and the earth are very, very important energies. So whatever numbers you have in the sun and the earth are going to be very influential in dictating who you came here to be. And you'll notice too, when you look at your body graph, that some of the numbers are on the right-hand side, they're in black, and some of them are on the left-hand side and they're in red. And the ones on the right-hand side were where the planets were at the time of your birth, at that time that you put into the software. But if you look on the left-hand side, you'll notice the date on the left-hand side is approximately 3 months before you were born. It's actually 88 astrological degrees, to be specific. And that was the time that your soul decided to come here. And so those red numbers are more related to the energy that you brought with you. So the energies that you have with you, I like to describe it as the fish swimming in water energies, the energies that are so much a part of you that you might not even know that they are you. Whereas the black numbers, the black energies, they are going to be the ones that you do know are you. And then when you look over inside the chart, when you look at those little lines and the longer lines that run between the energy centers, you will be able to correlate those with the numbers in the planets. Okay,
Oh.
because that's what makes up the body graph. Those numbers make up the body graph for you. So everything in the chart has a reason for being, and it even comes down to personality. I mean, I don't know. Can you tell me, Kerry, what does it say that your personality profile is? Can you read that on your chart? Can you see? Does it say personality profile there?
I don't have that up.
Okay, that's all right. That's all
Yeah.
right. But there's 12 different personality profiles. So I'm what's known as a 2-4. And a
Mhm.
2-4 is a hermit opportunist. So I'm a hermit, right? I like being in my cave. I like staying home. I like sort of doing my own thing and not sort of throwing myself out there. But I'm also an opportunist. 2 is the hermit, the 4 is the opportunist. The 4 likes to network or needs to network and has friends and does most of its business through its network and its friends. It's a solid, foundational, dependable energy, and it doesn't much like change. And so what we do is we integrate these two energies, the 2 and the 4 in my case, but you might be a 3-5, you might be a 2-6, you might be a 4-6, and so on and so on. There's 12 different options, and they talk about how you sort of show up in the world, how your personality shows up in the world. So there's so many different factors involved in a human design chart. And so to go really deep, you really do need to have a reading and have your chart read. But there's lots of things that you can learn without having a reading.
Yeah, because when I did mine, it did give me a lot of information, which was good. And it was definitely spot on because I
Mm.
do like to go out. My energy is very high. And people, when I meet new people, they generally are like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Your energy was so good. Like you made me feel so good when I left. But I do also like to just be by myself. Right. I'm very good at being by myself, and that really makes me happy to just spend time with myself and my
Yeah.
mind. So yeah, it was definitely really good. So, I mean, once I find my chart, because I know it's somewhere, I have a screenshot on my phone. I'm looking at it, it's all the way over there.
It
So
doesn't
I will like
matter.
put it in after the video just so people can kind of see if they've never done it. I just put a link in for them to go to the website that you said, but I will put my chart in there so people can see. And what I was going to ask you is, how do you balance awareness and mindfulness daily? You know, because like we can get distracted very easily nowadays. Even though you are home and maybe you're working from home, but you can definitely still get distracted a lot. So I feel like that would help someone if you want to just touch on that base a little bit on how to stay more balanced. I know the word balance is hard for people to grasp, but it's an internal thing. It's mostly about you
Yeah.
with your mindset. But how do you help people like follow and stay on track?
Sure. Well, I suppose the first thing to say is that the chart shows us there are varying degrees of opportunity for distractedness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it depends on what's in your chart as to how focused or unfocused you have the potential to be. And of course, all of these things happen depending on where you are on the continuum of vibrational frequency. I mean, if you're way up here and you're living out the highest expression of your chart because you are vibing high and everything is coming to you as it's supposed to come to you, well, that's a whole different ball game to if you're down here and you're in victim mode and nothing is happening and you are stuck. And sorry about that. And it's a whole different situation. So number one, it very much depends on you and how you're vibing. But the question you asked me was, what do I do?
Yeah.
So I work very hard to keep my energy centers as as clear and as close to the truth of who I am as I can. I use an energy clearing technique, and I can give you a link to it if you like after we finish here. But I've made a video which is freely available on my YouTube channel, called 27 breaths, and it's literally all it is it's 27 breaths. So it's sort of 3 minutes worth of work, once you know the technique, to go through each of your energy centers and cleanse them. Because when you do that, you come back to yourself. The big thing that's going on at the moment is that, particularly for those people who have certain energy centers open, particularly the emotion center, which is the one we talked about very early on, which was, if you look at your chart, it's on the right-hand side. It's the opposite of the spleen, if you like. It's on the right-hand side, about 3/4 of the way down. If that's white, or if the diamond in the center of the chart is white, or if either of the two head energies are white. This has been very general here, by the way. There's lots of other, circumstances that can change it. Yeah, but generally speaking, if any of those 4 centers are white, you're feeling what's going on right now from a global perspective in a huge way. If your emotions are open, you're feeling the global emotions. If your G center, that diamond I was talking about, the one in the center, is open, and it's kind of where your heart is. If that's open, you're feeling the soul energy of the global community. And there's so much sort of uncertainty in that area. You can imagine what's going on if the head and the ajna are open, because these are where the ideas and inspirations and the thoughts are processed, going on. So with all of the different thoughts and theories and ideas that are out there circulating at the moment, when you have these centers open, you are experiencing all of them. And I don't know if I said that where you're white, you don't just experience everything else that's going on, you experience it amplified. So you're getting it even bigger than the people who are putting it out there. So you can imagine what effect this is having it. And I happen to have an open head, an open ajna, an open G center. I have a defined spleen. I have a defined emotion center. But I'm feeling a lot of what's going on. And so I have to stop myself regularly and cleanse, really cleanse and tone my energy centers. And it helps like you wouldn't believe. It really does make a major, it makes a major difference to the way that I experience my day. I think being aware and having the intention is incredibly important as well. Knowing that what's going on is not mine.
Right.
Whether I do the clearing or not is another thing. But just knowing it's not mine, and knowing that, I am me and I am safe, and, my family is safe, and putting us in a bubble. And I do that all the time. And yes, I have got some Reiki attunement, but anyone can do that. Yeah. It's about intending.
That is very good. That's very good. And I think a lot of people needed to hear that right now on a level, because they're like, what's going on? Like, I'm feeling all this, and it's not even, a lot of the energy is not even them. Like you said, it's a global thing. And I know in the beginning, I started to feel that, not a lot, because I know I have a tuning fork, I have my singing bowls.
Beautiful.
And I do my CBD oils that I created. So I have these organic CBD oils that I rub. So I'm very into my senses also. My eyes, ears, smell, all those, keep those in tune with the energy also. But I can understand how some people could not know what's going on, because everything's so open emotionally in our bodies right now. We're actually like transcending a little bit too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Is definitely opening right?
Yeah,
So, I mean, I feel like that is huge on top of everything else that's going on. So, for us to just make sure we're more aware and in and keeping our courage and knowing that sometimes it's not your energy, it's someone else's energy is definitely
absolutely.
huge.
Yeah. And Kerry, I also use essential oils all the time. I've just got a stack of them sitting beside me, and I use whichever one I feel drawn to use, or whichever one I know is going to help me with whatever it is that I'm going through. I love that you use sound healing. I really think that is going to become more and more important going forward. And I'm actually doing my own research into sound healing. It sounds like you're way down the track with it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I think it's incredibly powerful.
Yes.
But, you know, anything that you can grab onto, I mean, for some people, music is a massive healing influence, and your human design chart will show whether music will be that for you. For some people, just immersing themselves in beauty, surrounding themselves with things that they find beautiful, whether it be being in a garden, whether it be going for a walk in nature, whether it be going to we can't do this now, but going to an art gallery or whatever. I mean, even, all of these virtual art gallery tours, for some people, they are actually going to raise their vibration, and
Yeah.
they are literally going to make them healthier.
Which is, yes. And I do love that people don't understand when you raise your vibration, what it does for your body, right? And there's hertz out there. So hertz is a great one. You could do 432 or
Yeah,
532. Those are the energies of earth and love and positivity. And what it does is creates that within you. And I think right now everyone's trying to figure out what is going on so they're not grounded, because my energy here is always open. My lower chakras are the ones that I always have to work on, so I try to do
yeah,
something every day for those. And I even just have on my phone a simple little thing where the screensaver is abundant, like I am abundance and confidence is my solar plexus, and I put that on there so that I can, I remind myself. I always try to choose reminders that are going to boost my vibration and my energetic field going out into the world. So when someone thinks of me, even if they're just thinking of me while they're somewhere totally else, they'll feel at ease because I'm always sending out blessings and love, right?
yeah.
That's how I try to generate my energy out into the world. And I think a lot of people need to get grounded right now in their root chakra. So is there a certain thing that we can do right now to keep us grounded in ourself? Because a lot of people, like you said, might be out there in their other energy.
Absolutely. So the technique that I described earlier, the 27 breaths, is very, very grounding. Um, I like to use grounding essential oils like cedarwood and arbor vitae, and like a grounding blend if you happen to have a grounding blend. Vetiver, those sorts of things can bring you back down into your body. Try the energy clearing technique. It's free, and it'll take, once you've watched the first 10-minute video, it'll take you 3 minutes of your time each time you do it. Very little investment, only time, and it really does make a huge difference to the way you feel your body, because all of a sudden you come back to being you rather than everyone else,
Yeah.
rather than having everyone else's energy. It cleanses, if I can go out there for a sec, it literally cleanses your aura. It cleanses your energy. It sort of cuts the ties with all of the garbage that's going on. And I say that with all the love in the world, because everyone else's garbage is their stuff. Okay. It's just that we don't want it in our system because, we've got our own stuff. So just doing that is very, very grounding. It can really help in a major way.
That is so great. So let's see. This last question would be like your secret sauce. Like, what's the one thing that you love to do every day for yourself? I always say that sometimes those little simple things that we do for ourselves actually help other people. So I like to say your secret recipe or your Yeah, secret sauce is good. But if there's something else you want to share, that would be awesome. And then I didn't see if there's any questions, anyone could put them in the little chat at the bottom of the Facebook, and we will try to answer them for you later.
Sure. So aside from my 27 breaths clearing technique, which I do probably 6 times a day, my essential oils, which just sit beside me, they're dotted all over the house. I use them every morning as well. When I get out of the shower, I use them with a carrier oil on my body. And probably the other thing that I really try to do, and I have been doing coincidentally, but there's no such thing as coincidences, I really don't think, since this whole situation really started to take hold, I've been very, very mindful of what I put in my mouth. Yeah. Incredibly mindful. Lots and lots of green, green smoothie every day, raw cacao drinks, lots and lots, eating the rainbow.
Yeah.
Just keeping it real, keeping it healthy, keeping it as clean as possible, as depending on whether you choose what type of food you choose to eat. And I believe that everyone needs to eat what works for themselves, and human design teaches that as well.
Wow, that's huge.
It doesn't, I mean, there are arms of human design that get quite prescriptive about what you eat. I don't get very prescriptive, but I do talk to people about what they are designed to eat. And it's really important to understand that what you put in your mouth has to be clean.
Yes.
Because otherwise you are dealing with more rubbish, right? More garbage. We say rubbish here. Do you say rubbish over there?
Sometimes, I mean, we say garbage. But
more garbage, more trash.
Yeah, I love your accent. Like, I have like a lot of friends from over there that I deal with online and stuff. So I do love it. It makes me exciting to hear that.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, just being very mindful of what I put in and on my body.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, because I do feel like a lot of people are just like probably shoveling a lot of processed foods in them right now, because they're like, oh, let's just, sit at home on our couch and eat. And that is going to make you feel more low, have a lower vibration, but also.
Well, it's not vibrating. Processed foods aren't vibrating. They're technically clinically dead. So you want to put something in your body that's kind of alive.
Yeah. Like energetic, comes from the earth, right? That's going to be giving you that, the sun that it gets, and all of its energy is coming towards you and in you. And that is something that we should definitely have to get somebody to get a video on that. I'll have to interview somebody for that, because that's definitely
yes,
good.
Please.
Where could we find you? So if there's somebody that wants to reach out to you, what's the best way? What platforms do you like to share?
Absolutely. Thank you. So my website is findyournaturalgroove.com, findyournaturalgroove.com. And if you go there, you'll find all sorts of free resources. I've got videos on there for each of the 5 types. So if you want to learn a little bit more about your type and how it's designed to operate, how it's designed to make decisions and take actions, go there. I think it's the free resources tab. There's an ebook there. There's blog posts on each of the human design types, and lots of other stuff as well. I love Instagram. Instagram is my favorite. So there's lots of stuff on Instagram. I try and post there regularly, and I try and post stuff that people will find interesting as well as helpful. So it's at Find Your Natural Groove. I've got a Facebook page, Ros Isbel Find Your Natural Groove, where I post hopefully helpful, uplifting, high vibe stuff. Yeah. Because, as we've been talking about, if your vibe's high, then that helps you. But you know what? It also helps other people, because your vibe is infectious. Other people can't help but have their own vibration raised when they're around people with high vibrations. It's
Yeah.
the butterfly effect. And one thing I would really love to say too, because it might be helpful to some of your listeners,
Sure.
when they get their human design chart, if they happen to be somebody who likes to meditate or who wants to meditate, or perhaps who has tried to meditate and it doesn't work for them, there is a particular configuration in the human design chart which it can answer a few questions on that particular subject. If you have those two triangles, the yellow, it'll probably be yellow head, and the green ajna colored in, then you need to lie down when you meditate.
Oh,
I'll tell
interesting.
you that for nothing. There will be lots of people out there who have red, yellow and green in the top two energy centers, who don't like meditating, who find it hard to sit on their purple pillow and meditate.
Yeah.
The reason for that is because they've got this constant stream of information coming in that will not shut off. And the whole idea of meditating is to shut off the stream of consciousness and just be quiet and still in your mind.
Yeah.
So you need to lay down. When you lay down, you'll find meditation a whole lot easier if you have those two defined.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful and thankful right now that you came on and shared this with everyone. Just because, like I said, this is an emotional roller coaster right now. And we need to be very aware of ourselves and what's going to work for us deep down inside. Because when you complete and connect all of your dots, kind of like what the human design is going to do, it's going to make you just feel so much better when you get back out there and you're in your skin and you're living your best life. So, and I will also put her website in the comments underneath on Facebook. And when I put it on YouTube, I'll also do that there. But if you have any questions for anyone that's listening, just post them there. I'll try to get back to you and answer some of those questions. I love what you're doing right now. And I think a lot more people need to find their purpose. And that is probably by doing the human design, obviously.
Honestly, it can make such a big difference. It can be affirming for what you already knew about yourself, but it can make you realize that you are here for bigger things. It can make you realize that you perhaps have been on the wrong track, and all of a sudden you go, oh, yes, now I know, now I understand. It can make such a huge difference, and I've watched it make a huge difference to hundreds of people, just finding out how they're designed to operate. So yeah, and thank you for having me, Kerry. Thank you for doing what you're doing. This is high vibe work you're doing, and this is helping to raise the vibration of the global community, and goodness knows it needs it at the moment.
Yeah. I just heard something like say to me, and I'm like, this is what you need to do. Like, you need to start healing. This is what you came here for, it literally. And I'm like, okay, I got this. Give me a second. Let me get some more healers. But I feel like this is going to be good. I'm going to package everything and get it out there for as many people to hear. And I think this is going to help people for years to come. And that's what it's about, sharing your knowledge, sharing your gifts with the world. And I'm so excited. I'm going to say thank you again for being here. So like I said, if anyone has any questions or need anything, just let us know, post in there, share this with your friends, share this on your Facebook page so that we can get the word out there on how to create and sustain a better energy, or the energy we had before this happened, right? Because I feel like the energy we had before on the planet was so good, and it's like lowered us like 2 notches down, right? So I feel like we just need to get back up there and get higher into that higher vibe. And this time right now, you have more time than you probably ever imagined. So this is the time to do it. This is the time to really shift who you are, shift your paradigm, shift your mindset, and really find out your purpose, right? That question that's always stuck in there somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to say goodbye to everybody. If you have anything else that you want to say, Rose, please feel free to share. Otherwise, we are going to end the Facebook.
I think we're done. I think we've covered, well, we haven't covered it. We could talk for hours, but for the purposes of today, I think we've done we've covered it off. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me, Kerry.
We definitely did cover a lot. And sorry, because I don't know what is going on. Sometimes my video is fine, but it's like 6:30 here, so that light kind of goes off, and I'm like fading in and out on everyone. But I just want to say,
It's bright sunshine and 9:30 in the morning here now, so
I
that's
know.
why I know I've got this bright light shining on me. And it's all natural sun.
Yeah, and you look great. You look amazing. And thank you again for your time. All
Thank
right,
you.
everyone. See you later. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.